woman looked her boyfriend dead in the eyes and told him to choose her or his mother dying in a hospital bed. He didn't flinch, didn't hesitate, didn't even blink. He just stood up, said 2 words, and walked out. She never saw it coming.
She gave me an ultimatum while my mom had a brain tumor. I chose my mom. My mom sets the table like she always does. Folded napkins, the good plates, a candle she only lights when she wants the night to feel special. She's humming something I don't recognize, something soft. And I'm watching her from the doorway thinking, she worked hard on this, every detail. Because that's who she is. She doesn't do anything halfway when it comes to the people she loves. Anna's sitting at the table already, arms crossed, not obviously, just tight. Like she's bracing for something she's already decided she doesn't want. I notice. I always notice. But I tell myself it's nothing. She's tired. Work stress. She'll relax once the food hits the table. My mom brings out the dessert. She'd been preparing it since morning. Anna had mentioned once in passing, that she loved this particular thing. My mom filed it away like a piece of gold. That's just how she operates. She remembers everything about the people she loves or the people she wants to love. She sets it down in front of Anna with this quiet smile. No fanfare, no big gesture, just, I remembered. This is for you. Anna looks at it, then she looks away. I'm not hungry. 3 words, but it wasn't the words, it was the tone. Flat, dismissive. Like my mom had just offered her something from a gas station. My mom's smile didn't disappear immediately. It kind of faded, slowly. The way a light flickers before it goes out. She just nodded and said, no worries, it's fine, because that's what she always says. That's her armor. But I saw her eyes. I know those eyes better than I know my own face. She was hurt. And Anna knew she was hurt. And Anna didn't care. We left the house 20 minutes later. The car was silent. That specific kind of silence that isn't peaceful, it's loaded. The kind where both people are waiting to see who pulls the pin first. I pulled it. I told her that what she did was unnecessary. That my mother had done nothing to her. That she sat there like a guest who resented the invitation and then insulted the host with a look. She told me my mom was uncomfortable to be around. I asked her to give me one example. She couldn't. She tried. She cycled through vague feelings. She asked too many questions. She makes me feel judged. But nothing concrete, nothing real. Just fog she'd built up around a woman who had done everything in her power to make her feel welcome. That's when she said it for the first time. You have the Midas. 6 days after I posted about all of this online, I had that calm conversation with Anna that people had suggested. No yelling, no ultimatums, just honesty laid out on the table like cards. She admitted she'd been cold, said it was work stress bleeding into everything. I admitted I hadn't set clear enough boundaries between my roles, son and boyfriend. We both gave a little. We both took a little. And for a while, things actually got better. She was warmer with my mom, helpful even. There was a weekend she came over and helped organize some things around the house, and my mom laughed more than she had in weeks, and I thought, okay, we found it, the balance, I was wrong. The morning my mother asked to go to the doctor, I was making coffee. She came into the kitchen and just stood there for a second. Not dramatic. My mom doesn't do dramatic. She just said she'd been having some things going on for a while. Headaches, bad ones. Dizziness that hit her without warning. A few moments where her vision went strange. She'd been hiding it for weeks. She told me she didn't want to worry me. I put the coffee down. I didn't even finish making it. We got the appointment, the studies, the scans, and I sat in a waiting room that smelled like antiseptic and recycled air, watching an old television in the corner run a cooking show on mute, and I thought about all the times she'd winced and said it's nothing. The doctor came in with that specific kind of face that medical professionals develop, controlled but not fully controlled. He explained what they found. A tumor, brain, non-malignant, and I will never forget the physical sensation of relief that word produced in my chest, like something had been squeezing my lungs for the last 3 hours and suddenly let go. But not gone, not harmless. It explained everything. The symptoms, the fatigue. All of it was real, and all of it required constant monitoring, medication, and care. From that day forward, my world reorganized itself, not reluctantly, not as a burden, simply as what needed to happen. Anna came to one appointment. She sat in the corner, asked a few questions, held my hand in the parking lot, and told me I could count on her. I believed her. 3 weeks later, my mother had an episode bad enough that we had to go to the emergency room at midnight. I called Anna on the way. She met us there. And while my mother was being assessed and I was standing in a hospital hallway at 1 a.m. trying to hold it together, Anna turned to me and said, "Don't you think she might be exaggerating a little? Like, we all get headaches." I looked at her. I don't think I responded immediately. There was this moment where my brain simply refused to process what I just heard. Like it presented the sentence back to itself and said, "No, that doesn't make sense. Try again." She said it again, softer. Maybe it's more emotional than physical. And something snapped, not loudly, not in a scene. It was quiet and internal and absolute. I told her, clearly, without raising my voice, that the woman behind that door had a tumor in her brain that had been quietly growing, that it's all in her head, was the one thing that could not be said, and that if this was her response to my mother being hospitalized, we had a serious problem. She cried, apologized, said she hadn't meant it that way. I accepted the apology, but I didn't forget the words.
There it is. The mask slipped in a hospital hallway at 1 a.m., the exact moment when it's most expensive to let it slip. Most people reveal their real priorities not when things are good, but when things cost them something. She just showed him exactly what this was going to look like going forward.
My mom turned 61 on a Tuesday. I've been planning it for days. The meal she used to make me when I was a kid, I'd spent 2 hours recreating it from memory and a phone call to my aunt. I bought a gift. I put up some decorations, nothing extravagant, just warm, just ours. By mid-afternoon, she couldn't stand up. The nausea came first, then the vertigo. Then the pain hit a level I hadn't seen before. And I've seen a lot of levels by now. I know the difference between a hard day and a crisis. This was a crisis. She was crying. My mother, who does not cry from pain, who has lived her entire life refusing to be a burden, she was crying. I took her to the hospital. I wasn't going to let her spend her birthday in a sterile room eating nothing, so I packed the food, snuck it in. The nurses pretended not to notice. My mom laughed a little when I pulled it out of the bag, and that sound, that small, exhausted laugh, was worth every second of the absurdity. Anna stayed. She helped. She was there. But something was off, and I could feel it sitting next to me the entire time. This low-frequency tension that never fully surfaced but never fully disappeared either. On the drive to drop her off afterward, I thought the worst was behind us for the night. Then she started talking. I'm getting tired of being a spectator. I kept driving, eyes on the road. I feel like all your love goes to your mother and I get nothing. A real man knows the order of priorities. Girlfriend first, mother second. I pulled over. Not dramatically. I just stopped the car. And I sat there for a moment looking at the dashboard, because if I looked at her, I wasn't sure what would come out of my mouth. It was her birthday. My mother was in a hospital bed 3 hours ago, crying from pain with a tumor in her brain. And this was the conclusion she had arrived at. Girlfriend first, mother second. I told her she was being cruel, that she knew exactly what this night had been, that I had not asked for her to compete with my mother. That competition had never existed in my mind, and that what she was describing was not a relationship dynamic. It was a transaction she felt was no longer paying out. She said she was done, said she wanted out of the car. I stopped. She opened the door. She closed it behind her and walked into the dark without looking back. I drove home. If you've ever had someone make you feel guilty for loving a parent who needed you, you already know exactly how that drive home felt. She called the next day. I figured she'd slept on it. Maybe something had shifted. I agreed to meet her in a coffee shop, neutral ground, middle of the afternoon. She sat down, and I saw the face immediately. Red eyes, prepared speech, the whole architecture of an apology that leads somewhere else. She cried, said she was overwhelmed, said she hadn't meant any of it, said she felt invisible and she'd handled it wrong and she missed me. I listened. I was ready to talk through it, and then she said it. You need to choose, me or your sick mother, not the anxious kind, the cold, final kind. Something crystallized in me in that exact moment, not anger, something quieter and more permanent than anger. It was the sensation of a door closing, not being slammed, just closing, with a click. I stood up. Thanks for making it easy. I choose my mother. Goodbye. A man at a nearby table had been watching. He stood up too, caught up to me at the door, put a hand on my shoulder and pushed. Hey, the girl is talking to you. I turned around, looked at him. I was still carrying 8 months of this. The hospital halls, the midnight emergencies, the cutting comments, the dessert that got rejected, the birthday in a hospital room, all of it sitting right there behind my eyes. I told him to stay out of it. He called me half a man for leaving a crying woman behind. And I said something I probably shouldn't have, something sharp, something that cleared the room. He took a step toward me. Someone else stepped between us. I walked out. She was at the door behind me, calling my name. I got in the car. I didn't look back. I didn't turn the radio on. I just drove.
The stranger didn't see 8 months. He saw 30 seconds. That's the thing about public scenes. The person causing the most visible distress always looks like the victim. She understood that. Consciously or not, the location, the timing, the tears. It was a controlled environment designed for maximum pressure. He walked out anyway. That's not coldness. That's clarity.
My mother's tumor shrank by 30%. The doctors said it 2 weeks ago, calm and professional, like it was a routine update. I sat in that same office where I'd first heard the word tumor, and I thought about how much had happened in the space between those 2 appointments. She's eating again, real meals. She gained back weight I hadn't even noticed she'd lost until it came back. She laughs, she hums in the kitchen. We watch movies on Friday nights and cook together on Sundays, and those 2 hours, simple, quiet, unremarkable to anyone watching, are the most valuable hours of my week. Anna came back 3 times. First time was at the hospital with flowers, a rehearsed speech, and tears. My mother received it with grace because my mother is built differently. I stayed at a distance and said very little. She came back twice more with the same thesis. She'd changed, she'd gone to therapy, she finally understood what it meant to be with someone who had real family obligations. Maybe that's true. Doesn't matter. There are certain things you can apologize for. And there are things you said on the worst night of someone's life, to someone holding their sick mother together with bare hands, and those things don't get walked back. They live in the air permanently. You breathe them in every time you look at that person. Trust doesn't rebuild on a foundation that was never there. I told her that plainly. No anger in it. Just the truth, delivered the way you deliver something heavy. Carefully, so nothing breaks on the landing. She cried. She said I was a good person and that she was sorry she hadn't understood that sooner. I wished her well, and I meant it. Today I'm not looking for anyone. I'm sleeping better than I have in years. I'm learning to pause before I react. I'm showing up for my mother and for my work and, slowly, carefully, for myself. If you're reading this in the middle of something similar, here's what I know now. The people who love you don't weaponize your love for your family. They don't score it against themselves. They don't deliver ultimatums from a coffee shop table while you're still carrying the smell of a hospital on your jacket. When the worst happens, people either show up or they show themselves. She showed herself. I showed up.